Senior correspondent Jonathan Seri is reporting live from Atlanta on this part of this story, and also what we're going to hear next from Fani Willis, the DA in Atlanta.
Yeah, the decision is not surprising because the judge really gave Fani Willis probably an unpleasant decision, but an easy decision, because if Nathan Wade were to stay on this case as special prosecutor, then the DA, Fani Willis, would have been forced to resign from the case along with her entire staff. They would have had to stand on the sidelines. And so in order for this case to best move forward, clearly the DA's office made the calculation that losing this one special prosecutor, Nathan Wade, would be less damaging than disqualifying the entire office and then having the prosecuting attorneys council appoint a totally new slate of prosecutors to come in from outside and handle this case. So not a surprising development, but a dramatic development. Nathan Wade turning in his resignation from the case and the DA's office accepting that resignation.
Yeah, I'm just looking, Jonathan, stand by, at the letter from Nathan J. Wade, Esquire. He writes to DA Willis: "The furtherance of the rule of law and democracy is and always has been the North Star of our combined efforts in the prosecution of those who are alleged to have attempted to overthrow the results of Georgia's 2020 presidential election. Our team is dedicated to ensuring that a Fulton County jury in a Fulton County courtroom renders a true and just verdict in this case." He goes on to say, "I'm proud of the work." He says, basically, according to the judge's decision, I will resign immediately. I offer my resignation effectively as quickly as possible, I should say. "I'm proud of the work that our team has accomplished in investigating, indicting, and litigating this case, seeking justice for the people of Georgia, and being part of the effort to ensure the rule of law." And he goes on to say that he's sure that the team will be successful. Ari, your reaction to this news?
Martha, it sickens me to hear him say this is in furtherance of democracy. If this was about democracy, the Democrats wouldn't use the courts to indict Donald Trump. They'd go to November and let the American people decide. That's what a democracy would do. But in America's bluest counties, Fulton County, Georgia, New York County, which is Manhattan in New York City, the bluest of bluest counties, where the bluest of bluest prosecutors, who will never lose a re-election unless it's from the left, indict Donald Trump. You'll never see these things brought in a purple county. You would never see them brought in a red county. And it's not because they have an adherence to democracy. In the case of Georgia now with Nathan Wade, it's because the judge ordered him to break up with his girlfriend. The judge ordered his girlfriend to break up with him from a legal point of view. That's why he's stepping down, not in furtherance of democracy. It's because what he did was unsavory, what the DA did was unsavory, and at its most fundamental level, bringing charges against a political opponent is even more unsavory than any of the personal unsavory behavior they engaged in. He wrote that in that letter, and it just rubs me the wrong way. Not about democracy.
Leslie, there was an event that Fani Willis attended at the White House. She claimed that she had no interaction with the vice president who was speaking at that event when she was at the White House. But obviously, there's a lot of discussion from Republican quarters about the coordination that has potentially happened in this concerted effort to go after former President Trump. And we haven't heard from Fani Willis. We have only heard from Nathan Wade at this point. I want to replay, control room, if we can, the Andrew Weissman, who was part of the Russia investigation team going after former President Trump. He wants Fani Willis to be gone. He wants to go the whole way and clean the decks of this team, and he thinks that would be the best thing for the prosecution. Let's watch this again from Andrew Weissman earlier today.
The key here is how to go forward, because clearly Wade is off. But I think that this is such a huge body blow, almost a fatal blow to Fani Willis. I think the way forward is she has to voluntarily recuse herself. I don't know that she has it in her, but I think she has to say, I'm going to appoint a chief assistant who's going to oversee this case. She clearly has no credibility with this judge.
That could still happen, Leslie. Nobody of whom I've asked this question thinks that anything in her character points in that direction, but you never know.
I would feel that everybody would kind of say, a day late and a dollar short if that were to happen. And if she were to do that, she should have done this prior, because of, just the embarrassment alone, not just the delays, not just a whole new prosecutorial team that has to be caught up to speed, if you will. I do agree with Ari there that, she should have just appointed, I would have appointed, the toughest person that you could find and the person that's going to be great with this and more apt to win. But one area that I disagree with Ari on is when Ari said it should be left up to the voters in November. It is going to be left up to the voters in November whether Donald Trump will become president again or not. But it should never be left up to the voters to decide whether somebody is guilty or not guilty in a criminal court of law. That has to be done in the court system, in our legal system, and that has to be decided by a jury. But going back, I don't think that she would do that. But I would agree with Andrew there where, if your case is dirtied, if you will, by you and anything that you've done or you've said, better in the interest of democracy, if you will, for you to put the best team in place to win. And if that means you stepping aside, that's what you do. Right?
Well, let me ask Leslie one more question before I go back to Ari. So the New York case, which is the hush money case, that's delayed 30 days because the Department of Justice withheld, according to the other side, information that they didn't bring out in discovery. So that you got a problem there. You've got the question of immunity on the January 6th case and the documents cases. So those are also running into issues and waiting for the Supreme Court. And you've got this Georgia case. Are you concerned, Leslie, that these efforts, which have been so fulsome, might be coming apart?
No, and let me tell you why. And I know my second thing, but you guys know I'm just honest. I'm not like everybody's thinks. Oh, Leslie, I get on Twitter. She has the Democratic talking points. Yeah, this is what I have. I have no Democratic talking points. I have truth, and this is my truth. I don't think, even if he is found guilty of all of these, he is going to spend 1 second in jail. And if the goal is, and it's not going to keep him off the ballot. It's not going to keep people from voting for him. It's actually done quite the opposite. And many others predicted that. And, he could, again, be president. So what are you doing this for? Your democracy would have to do with politics, right? What are you doing this for? If you're doing it for legal reasons, it's like impeachment. It drives me crazy. If you know you're not going to remove the guy from office, and I'm talking Democrat or Republican, maybe it is a waste of taxpayer time and money. So with this, you got to follow it through. You got to go with the letter of the law. But I have never been, a huge cheerleader of these simply because, my question is, A, what is your goal? And B, are you even going to reach it? And if the goal is to have Donald Trump be wearing an orange jumpsuit, they're not going to reach that goal, in my humble opinion.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.